When the landslide happened, my sister and I were both buried under the rubble. I was rescued, but my sister died in the prime of her life. Since then, she became everyone's white moonlight, the perfect, untouchable memory. Mom blamed me for making her lose her most beloved daughter. My brother asked why it wasn't me who died. Lucas trapped me in a hollow marriage, saying, "Not getting what you want, that's your biggest punishment in life." I spent 5 years trying to atone to them, until I was diagnosed with late-stage cancer. On the day I planned to give up, a voice suddenly echoed in my mind, "If I'd known you were such a loser, it would have been better if you died right from the start." 1. On my birthday, fate gave me a gift, a cancer diagnosis. In the doctor's office, the doctor was filling out paperwork as he spoke. "Notify your family so they can arrange hospitalization." Okay, I'll call them. There were many contacts listed: friends, husband, brother, dad. I scrolled through them one by one, finally stopping on Mom. After a moment of hesitation, I pressed dial. During the long wait, my hands trembled uncontrollably and my heart raced. All I heard was the dialing tone. Just as I thought she wouldn't pick up, the call connected, and her familiar voice came through. "What is it?" "Mom," I choked on my words. Fearing to bother her, I hurriedly controlled my emotions. "Are you free? I need to talk." "No time, I have a meeting soon." "If it's not urgent, call later." "I'm sick." Silence on the other end for a moment. "If you're sick, go to the hospital. What good is calling me?" Though I knew I shouldn't expect much, her words still pierced my heart. "What if it's an incurable illness? Go see a doctor." Her cold voice carried a hint of impatience. "If even the doctor can't cure it, what good is calling me? I'm busy. That's all." The call abruptly ended. The doctor saw my expression and guessed the news wasn't good. He comforted me. "It's okay. You can also admit yourself." I gripped the edge of my bag as tears fell drop by drop. I stood up. "I'll think it over." "You're still young, your life is yours." His face showed pity, as he tried to persuade me. I shook my head and forced out a smile uglier than crying. "I'll think it over. No one expected me to survive. I should have died in that accident 5 years ago." 2. After wandering outside for a long time, I got home late. The house was pitch dark, just as expected. I didn't turn on the lights and fumbled my way inside relying on familiarity, but I kicked something by the entrance. I turned on my flashlight and saw a pair of high heels, shoes I never wear. As if answering my suspicion, the lights suddenly came on. From upstairs descended a graceful figure in a sexy red dress, her hair in big waves, her bright face flushed slightly. She held a cigarette between her fingers. Seeing me, she smiled with interest and flicked the cigarette butt into the small fish tank on the table. "Well, madam, why are you home so late today?" Nina came closer, and I smelled the familiar scent of her body wash, that same brand I always use in the bathroom. She flipped her sultry curls and, acting like the lady of the house, said, "Lucas drank too much today. It was a mess upstairs, sorry to trouble you with cleaning up." After speaking, she was about to put on her shoes and leave but suddenly stared at my face for a few seconds, then hooked her finger. "Hey, cried? Who bullied you?" I frowned and stepped back. Nina casually withdrew her hand. "I'm out." The little goldfish swam anxiously back and forth in the murky water. I changed its water and headed upstairs. The master bedroom door was half open, the bed was messy. Lucas, wearing only a towel around his waist, was on the phone. He glanced at me, said a few words to the other party, then hung up and asked, "Where have you been?" "There's surveillance at home. Though he rarely comes back, he knows when I arrive every day." I looked at the mess in the room, dug my nails into my palm, holding back my anger tightly. "You can do whatever you want outside, but why bring someone into my room?" Lucas smirked faintly, almost mocking. "Your room? Does this whole place have your name on it?" I froze at the door while he casually started changing clothes in front of me. Only when he was about to leave did he notice my ugly expression. Lucas was briefly taken aback, furrowed his brows, got drunk and went to the wrong room. Won't happen again. Just after he said that, he realized there was no need to explain to me at all. He darkened his face, brushed past my shoulder, and strode away. On the day we registered our marriage, he whispered in my ear, "You'll get a taste of what it means not to get what you want." For years of marriage, and he was having a wild time outside, lovers one after another. I was just his wife in name, an empty title for a sham marriage. Countless people laughed behind my back, saying I stole my sister's man, and that I deserved everything I got. 3. I spent the night in the guest bedroom. The next day, I called for cleaning service to tidy up. All the toiletries in the bathroom were cleared out. Lucas came back to get something and saw the sheets and covers stuffed into trash bags. His face went cold. The cleaner was scared by his expression and froze, unsure whether to continue or stop, but when she saw me, she quickly gave a pleading look. I said, "It's fine, just clean it all up. We bought this bedding when we first married." Though the marriage was a joke, these things were carefully chosen. I never used this set. I don't know what mood they were in last night to take it out and use it. As I stepped outside to call a car, Lucas's car came from behind and abruptly blocked me. I almost fell over in shock. The window rolled down, and he coldly said, "Get in." After his mother got sick 2 years ago, Lucas didn't let me go to work anymore. Since then, my life has been a dull routine. Lucas was driving fast again, being warned multiple times for speeding. When we reached the old house's gate, he stopped the car. I pushed the door, but it was still locked. Lucas, who had been in a foul mood, suddenly said, "We didn't do it." I threw up. Click, the lock opened. I got out of the car, and as soon as the door closed, the car sped away. Though he said it casually and without explanation, I understood. He was telling me that they hadn't been in the master bedroom the night before because he got sick and that's why the bedding was changed. But does it really make a difference? I walked into the main house. The elderly woman in a wheelchair, her hair white, turned to me and smiled brightly. "Lily, you're here." She called my sister's name. Lucas's mother suffers from a brain disease. After brain surgery, she was left with lasting side effects. Her mind is unclear, she can't remember people or events. No matter how many times I correct her, she always mistakes me for Lily, who used to visit often when we were kids. But I am Rita. Over these 2 years, I've gotten used to being Lily in front of her, because she loves Lily dearly. I knelt beside her, resting my head on her lap. Lucas's mother gently stroked my face. When she touched my tears, she grew a little anxious. "What's wrong, dear?" I said, "I'm sick. I'm scared." "Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Auntie cares for you. Be good, Lily, Auntie cares. I'm not afraid of dying. What scares me most is facing pain and suffering completely alone, while the people closest to you look on coldly, even cheering it on." 4. September 8th is the anniversary of my sister's death. On this day, everyone who loved her comes to her grave to pay respects. No one wanted me there. If it weren't for me, my brilliant sister wouldn't have died in the prime of her life. I purposely waited 2 days to avoid them before going to visit, but unexpectedly, I ran into my brother, whom I hadn't seen in a long time. He was smoking by the grave, and when he saw me, a mocking expression crossed his face. "It's been so long, have you even remembered which day is her death anniversary?" I didn't explain. The grave was covered with flowers and all her favorite fruits and snacks. Her face on the tombstone still looked bright and beautiful. She would never grow old. I bowed sincerely before her. "Sis, I'm sorry. Your life given up 5 years ago was all for nothing. If I could turn back time, I wish you hadn't saved me." Tears uncontrollably ran down my cheeks. I wiped them away, but the more I wiped, the worse it got. Gray looked at me irritably. "What are you acting for? It's been so long, and you still cry like that? Someone who doesn't know might actually think you feel guilty." He tossed a pack of tissues in front of me and said, "Wipe it off. Don't cry in front of her." She's been dead 5 years, and you're still making a fuss. I didn't take them. Instead, I wiped my tears hard with my sleeve. Gray, do you secretly wish it was me who died back then? He sneered coldly. You acted selfishly, but she paid the price. So tell me, who deserves to die? You're right. I weakly lifted the corner of my mouth, stood up, and before leaving, I couldn't help but tell him, none of you want me alive. Maybe soon you'll get your wish. He paused, instinctively grabbed my arm. What do you mean? Just words, I said, pulling away from his hand. From behind, Gray shouted, don't try to get attention with these crazy words. No one cares about your tricks anymore. I didn't look back or respond. The Mid-Autumn Festival was approaching. It was also my mother's birthday. Since my sister died, my mother never celebrated her birthday again. Before, the three of us would celebrate together, but after that, such reunions always felt incomplete and sad. Her birthday wasn't special anymore, but every year, I still prepared a gift. I hesitated for a long time in the car but finally decided to go in and wish her a happy birthday in person. This might be the last time I gave her a birthday gift. When I opened the door, I heard someone inside keeping rhythm and singing the birthday song. The dining table was filled with dishes and a cake, with my mother, Gray, and a cousin I hadn't seen in a long time sitting together. 5. After the birthday song, my mother, urged by my cousin, smiled brightly and blew out the candles. I had planned to quietly leave the gift and go, but when the housekeeper saw me, she exclaimed happily, Rita's back. Suddenly, many eyes turned to me. Since I was already there, a place was set for me at the table, but after I sat down, the atmosphere strangely cooled. Gray was usually quiet. The cousin was the one keeping the mood lively, chatting and laughing with my mother about a recent trip they took together. I mentally calculated the timing. It was exactly when I had gotten my test results. There was a slice of birthday cake in front of me, too sweet to swallow. I barely touched the cake by the time the meal ended. My cousin asked, Sis, why aren't you eating? Is it bad? I casually answered, it's okay. My cousin looked a bit disappointed, so it's not very good? My stomach ached faintly, the pain spreading along the nerves. Even if someone served me dragon meat right now, I wouldn't be able to taste the flavor. Gray calmly added, don't listen to her, she has no taste. Your cake-making skills are better than 99% of shops out there. My mother agreed, I think it's good too. Apparently, I was the only one without taste. I pulled a bitter smile. Yeah, I have no taste. There was no need to stay longer. I made a casual excuse to leave. My mother put down her teacup, speaking with some displeasure, you just got here and you're already rushing out? I'm not feeling well. What part of this home makes you feel unwell? Sensing the tension, my cousin quickly stepped in to smooth things over. Auntie, actually I have plans with friends. When Rita was leaving earlier, she said she'd give me a ride. Everyone knew it was just an excuse. My mother took a deep breath, averted her gaze, and continued sipping her tea. Okay, just take it easy on the way. In the end, I never even managed to say, happy birthday. I waited outside for my cousin. Gray came out shortly after. His eyes scanned me up and down as he flicked ash from his cigarette. You're alive and well, haven't seen anything wrong with you. He was responding to what I said to him over a week ago at the cemetery. To him, me standing here looking fine proved that Day's words were nonsense. I ignored him and left with my cousin. But not long after driving off, there was an accident. A speeding car crashed into us. Hearing my cousin scream, I slammed the steering wheel and tried my best to avoid the collision. The other driver's car flipped twice on the road and plunged into the greenery. I briefly lost consciousness, then was jolted awake by my cousin's crying. She was on an emergency call, so scared she was slurring her words but managed to give the location clearly. After she finished, I forced myself to ask her to call my mother again. The call was quickly answered. Upon hearing about the accident, my normally calm mother's voice trembled with panic as she asked for details and hurried out. My cousin sobbed, we're fine, just really scared. I heard my mother sigh with relief, Then after comforting my cousin, she suddenly started scolding me. I told you before, when driving you must watch all around and listen carefully. You need to pay more attention. When you learned to drive, you were reckless. Now you're not only hurting yourself but dragging others down too. Every word stabbed my chest like a knife. My vision blurred, but the scolding continued. From childhood to now, how many times have you listened to me? No matter what I did, she was never satisfied. In her eyes, I was always inferior. But she wasn't just harsh, she had a tender side, loving and caring for her children. It's just that I never got to experience that. Pain flooded through my limbs, despair exploded inside me along with unspoken grievances and suffering. I grabbed my cousin's phone and shouted at the person on the other end, "It's not my fault. It's not my fault. He hit me. Not my fault." After the last word, the phone slipped from my hand. I closed my eyes and sank into darkness. My heart raced uncontrollably. A foggy sense of despair covered me, and distant cries and shouting faded away. At that moment, a thought formed in my mind: forget it. No need to struggle anymore. Instead of dying a miserable death from illness, it might be better to just go, consider it a release. As this thought appeared, my soul seemed to peel away from my body, floating above and watching the chaos below. Just as my will to live was fading, a familiar voice suddenly exploded in my mind. "I should have known you were such a loser. Might as well have died at the start." Right after, an invisible hand pressed down hard on the top of my head. 6. Unlike in the dramas, when I woke up, no one was around me. The heart monitor showed steady vital signs, and the clear drip was slowly feeding medicine into my vein. I stared at the drip and muttered unconsciously, "Why am I still alive?" The next moment, a familiar voice angrily blared inside my head, "Dead? Dead what? Are you some kind of loser? You barely got a second chance at life, and you spent 5 years being a servant and punching bag. You can't beat others and don't fight back. You get wronged and think about dying? Even Notre Dame doesn't need you to rename. Who saved you? Who kept you alive? You're atoning for some random people? Are you out of your mind?" Each sentence was deafening, making my head spin. I sat up but saw nothing. After searching around, I finally realized the voice was coming from inside my own mind. I couldn't believe it. After all these years, I could still hear Lily's voice. Sister? Don't call me that. I don't have a sister as embarrassing as you. I'm so disgusted I'd get up from the dead just to slap you." The hospital door swung open with a soft click. I looked at who entered. Seeing me awake, the visitor smiled happily and said to the people behind her, "Great. Rita's awake." She was my cousin's mother, my long unseen aunt. My mom followed behind her, glanced at me, and said, "You were way too worried. The doctor said it's just surface wounds. Nothing serious." The aunt scolded, "Just surface wounds? The car was smashed like that. I get upset even over a scratch or bruise on the kids. You're really a careless mom." My mom didn't care. These two girls aren't the same. Sitting by my bedside, the aunt gently touched my face, full of concern. "Don't listen to your mom. Rita, you must have been terrified, right?" My eyes stung, and I opened my arms into her embrace. My mom wanted to say something but froze on the spot when she saw this. When the accident happened, I had swerved sharply to the right, resulting in my minor injuries, while my cousin was completely unharmed. She didn't even need to be hospitalized. The aunt was deeply grateful, both thanking and apologizing to me. But my mom just said lightly, "These two girls aren't the same." After my aunt left, my mom stayed in the room. Her expression was strange. She tucked the blanket around me and stood silently for a moment before awkwardly asking, "Does it hurt?" I was about to answer when suddenly, a strange force took control of my body, and my mouth moved without my will. I replied off topic, "I envy my cousin. She has a good mother. And a good aunt too. Can I ask why she's different from me? Is my sister made of water and I'm made of iron and flesh?" My mom pressed her lips and frowned slightly. That's just polite talk in front of your aunt. Belittling your own child to flatter someone else, does that make you look better? She frowned. What do you mean by flattering? After all, you were driving. Your cousin got hurt in the car too. We're all responsible. Mom, you're better at assigning blame than the traffic cops. The atmosphere turned tense. I've always been obedient before her, but this unyielding attitude was probably the first time. My face stayed calm, but my heart raced, already bracing for whatever harsh words she might say. Yet after a long silence, she said only, "Rest well." As she walked away, I stared at her back, barely believing it. It was the first time my mom didn't scold me harshly. In my mind, Lily said, "See? You're weak when you should be strong, and soft when you should fight back. That's why you get pushed around again and again." Why doesn't she reply? Because she knows deep down who's really in the wrong. Every time you get hurt, it's your own fault. When someone slaps you, even if you can't win, you should fight back. But you don't, you just bow your head and take the hits and insults. Her voice was fierce, but every word was a harsh kind of love. I wanted to cry again. "Sis, you weren't this harsh before." She paused. "And you weren't this pathetic either. How did I become like this?" Before sleeping, my memories leapt back to the accident 5 years ago. At that time, I had just barely escaped death. When I woke up, besides hearing of Lily's death, all I got were endless accusations and speculations. They said I was cowardly, selfishly fleeing and leaving Lily in danger, causing delayed rescue that led to her death. I had no one to argue with. Lily was truly gone. The person who loved me best in this world, whose life stopped at its prime, all because of me. 7. The next day, I learned from the police that the driver who caused the accident was drunk and was now fighting for his life in the ICU. It wasn't my fault, nor was it poor driving on my part. Even the police praised me for reacting quickly and handling the situation well, avoiding a fatal collision. Gray was in the hospital room. When he heard this, he smirked and said, "You're pretty lucky." I couldn't tell if it was sarcasm or genuine. But in my mind, Lily's voice snapped back sharply, "Of course you're lucky, otherwise you wouldn't have escaped death again and again." He argued with me, always sharp-tongued, "Looks like most people around you end up unlucky." Lily sneered, "Yeah, and you're next." Gray choked on his words, "I'm only here because I was bored." He didn't stay long. Not only that day, but on the second and third days, he came every day during my 5-day hospital stay. If it were before, I would have been overjoyed, even taking the chance to make demands and have him serve me. But since Lily left, our relationship hit rock bottom. Every time Gray saw me, it was just cold mockery. He would come in, sit on the sofa chair, play a few games, then pat his butt and leave. On the 5th day, when I was discharged, Gray wanted to drive me home. I packed my last piece of clothing into the suitcase and said, "I don't need a ride. I can get home myself." Gray waved the car keys impatiently. "Stop being dramatic. My mom is out of town, so I came to take care of you, so no one says you're all alone at home." I understood then. Gray took my bag and threw it into the trunk. We drove in silence. Near the house, he suddenly remembered something and said, "By the way, your doctor told you to come back for a checkup in a week. Some of your blood results were a bit high. Don't forget." I nodded and was about to get out of the car when he asked, "Where's Lucas?" "I don't know." He raised his eyebrows. "You've been in the hospital so long without going home, and he hasn't called or come. What's the deal?" I replied calmly, "I just wanted peace of mind." Gray sneered, "Figures. You asked for it." He and Lucas never got along and avoided each other when possible. I didn't answer. To them, it seemed like I was the one who clung to Lucas. But little did they know, his secret crush was actually my own sister. A game of truth or dare exposed Lucas's secret, and not long after, Lily and I both found ourselves in danger. Gray once slipped during an argument, accusing me of sacrificing my sister for a man. That's what he hated most about me. I hadn't gone home for 5 days. I had informed Lucas's mother, but I hadn't told Lucas a word. Officially married, but not even friends, no need to tell him about my hospital stay. When I got home, the ashtray on the living room table was full of cigarette butts. Lucas rarely came home more than once a month, and the house was cleaned daily by a maid, so all those cigarette butts. I glanced away and went to my room to finish packing. Halfway through, there was a knock on the door. Lucas stood there, eyes fixed on the open suitcase on the floor. Where have you been these days? Traveling. Traveling? He flicked a cigarette in half, clearly annoyed. Can you say something truthful for once? I stood up. If you're so free, how about we talk about divorce? My lawyer should have notified you. His face darkened. What trouble are you causing now? I don't want to deal with you anymore. Just thought I'd have the lawyer draft the papers. He crushed the cigarette in his hand, coldly mocking. In a hurry? Found someone else? No one else. I just don't want to live with you. I smirked. Living under the same roof with you, I'm always worried if heart disease is contagious through the air. I'll call the lawyer. Should only take an hour. Won't waste your time. He threw the crushed cigarette to the floor, stomped on it, and glared at me furiously. You want a divorce? Not on my watch. Then what? What can you do? He lit another cigarette, took a long drag, and came closer, using his height to intimidate me. He raised his hand as if to hit me but stopped midway. He glanced at my raised hand ready to slap him, then laughed. Hit me? You married me willingly. I'm not new to bringing women home. Have you ever complained? Suddenly I'm disgusting. I lowered my hand but he grabbed my wrist tightly. Lucas gritted his teeth. Even better. From now on, I'll bring women home and have them right next to you. I snapped. Left hand free, I slapped him. He didn't expect it and was stunned as my palm left a clear mark on his face. After a few seconds, he reacted, pressed his tongue against his cheek, and with one hand easily pinned both my wrists, pressing me against the wall. Let go. He didn't budge, eyes full of rage, like he wanted to tear me apart. You've always put up with it, right? Now suddenly you want to cause trouble? He crushed the cigarette on the wall. Widowhood is fine. Divorce? Dream on. Keep enduring it. Nobody plays Lucas's wife better than you. Nina waited silently outside, watching the drama unfold. Lucas turned and left with her, his eyes full of pity scanning my face. I trembled uncontrollably, furious yet strangely calm. Downstairs, a car engine started. I called Lucas. Wait, I need to talk. No time. I softened my voice. Just 5 minutes, it's important. He hung up without a word. When I went downstairs, his car was still parked outside. Holding the keys tightly, I opened the garage door, got into the driver's seat. My phone vibrated, and when I answered, Lucas asked impatiently, if you have something to say, why are you going to the garage? I pulled the car out, looked at his car ahead. Wait for me. I'm coming. I slammed the gas pedal hard. Amid screams, I crashed into his car fiercely. The impact pushed Lucas's car headfirst into the wall. Dust fell and cracks appeared in the wall. What could I do? Watch closely. What else could I do? I backed up and hit it again with full force. Lucas's car was a wreck, bumpers falling off, hood popped up, rear heavily dented. I released the gas, staring at the front car, vision blurring, heart pounding so hard it felt like it would burst. Sweat poured down my back. Someone outside slammed on my car window. I turned to see Gray, who should have left by now, his face twisted. Are you crazy? Emotions surged in my blood. At that moment, I felt an unprecedented release. If someone had to die, why did it have to be me? 8. When I was little, I liked Lucas. Among my playmates, I liked to follow him around the most. Back then, the adults joked that when I grew up, I'd marry Lucas and be his wife. But Lucas didn't like those jokes. Every time he heard them, he'd turn red and argue that I was his sister, not his wife. Once he realized my feelings weren't innocent, he quietly started to distance himself from me. I was slow to notice at the time, didn't realize he was avoiding me until he got a girlfriend and introduced her to everyone. That's when I understood why he suddenly became cold toward me, and that tiny crush of mine just died off. We were supposed to drift apart without any connection until one day, a pile of love letters in my room was discovered. Gray found a photo tucked among them, showing me hugging a boy whose face couldn't be seen. My secret love was suddenly exposed for everyone to see. Gray grabbed the photo, yelling, asking when I secretly got a boyfriend. His outburst drew a crowd, and I was frantic trying to get the photo back but couldn't. The boy in the photo was about Lucas's height and build, and the clothes looked similar to what Lucas wore that day. Everyone assumed the boy was Lucas. Just as I was about to explain, Lucas stepped forward and took the blame. Afterwards, he told me he did it because he didn't want me to be embarrassed in front of everyone, and that there was nothing beyond friendship between us. If he hadn't explained, I wouldn't have thought much anyway. The boy in the photo wasn't him. The one I liked was someone else entirely. But my mom was very unhappy about that person, extremely unhappy. So after the photo incident, she tried all sorts of ways to match me with Lucas's family. I honestly told Lucas I liked someone else, and if he was willing, we could pretend to date for a while and then find an excuse to break up. He agreed and didn't pry about the person I liked. Later, during a truth or dare game, Lucas was asked if he was pursuing me. After several questions, everyone guessed that his real interest was Lily. This time, Lucas didn't deny it. So we formed a friendship alliance, each hoping to get ahead. Eventually, the story went that Lucas liked Lily, while I liked Lucas but couldn't have him. On the day the accident happened, we all went out to play. I stayed behind at the guest house because I had a fever. Lily was worried, so she came back halfway to check on me. She took my temperature and told me to boil some hot water next door to drink. I was lying in bed, feverish and dazed, nodded instinctively, then fell asleep. Soon after, the house collapsed. When I was rescued, I was nearly unconscious and confused. Someone asked if anyone was with me, but all I remembered was that we had all gone out in the afternoon, planning to camp on the mountain. So I shook my head. The people on the mountain thought she hadn't returned. I thought she was still there. 9. Lucas was taken to the hospital with a broken arm and 2 fractured ribs. Before he passed out, he insisted no one call the police. Nina's condition was better than his, at least she wasn't unconscious. The first time I saw her, her eyes were full of fear. When my mom heard the news, she rushed back from a business trip. With Gray present, she didn't need to ask for details, she knew everything that happened. After checking on Lucas, she called me into a room and shut the door. Smack! A loud slap hit me hard. Gray flinched in surprise and instinctively stepped forward to stop her. Mom brushed him aside angrily and shouted at me, "Are you crazy? Do you even know what you're doing? Are you tired of living and want to go shoot yourself?" She raised her hand again, and I instinctively tried to dodge. It felt like someone pushed me from behind. Lily's voice rang in my head, "Don't dodge." My right hand moved on its own, quickly grabbing my mom's raised hand. "Who gave you the right to hit me? Who gave me the right? I'm your mother. If I'd known you'd turn out like this, I never would have taken you back from your father. If Lucas ends up in jail today, I won't be able to save you. When will you ever let me worry less? Do I have to give my life for you to understand?" I let go of her hand and smiled. "I hit him, why should you risk your life for that? Jail or not, a life for a life, I'll take responsibility for my actions. You don't need to worry." Gray tried to calm Mom while scolding me, "Could you say less? No. When my cousin and I had a car accident, you blamed my driving. Now I hit Lucas, and you say I'm insane. I'm not a prisoner on death row with a list of crimes. I didn't do all those terrible things." Mom's face turned red with anger. "So now you think you don't even deserve to be my daughter?" I nodded. "I've always looked up to you. You say I'm not good enough. I've been trying to be the daughter you want. But I was on the wrong path from the start. I shouldn't have lowered myself to please anyone. I'll handle the Lucas situation myself. You don't need to interfere. If you're really disappointed in me, then you don't have to acknowledge me as your daughter anymore, it might even help you live longer. She was furious but saw I was resolute. She pushed Gray away and snapped, "Fine. Look at her, so stubborn. Let her handle it herself. Think you can act all tough elsewhere? I want to see that." She turned and left. Gray stayed, looking at me with a complicated expression. Then he remembered to ask, "What happened after you went upstairs? Why were you so angry?" Lily handed control back to me and encouraged, "Speak. Your mouth is for talking, not for taking losses." I asked him back, "Do you think I really want him dead?" He didn't answer, but his expression said enough. If I wanted him dead, I would have made him get out of the car and sent him straight to the crematorium, not let them get him to a hospital. Gray pressed his lips together and frowned. "So what exactly is going on between you two?" He said next time he plans to bring his lover home and do it right in front of me. Gray's face instantly darkened. He clenched his teeth and fists. "If he dares." 10. When Lucas woke up, I handed him the divorce papers right away. Lying in bed, he glanced at the document, then lazily lifted his eyes to look at me. His voice was weak. "Even now, you're still trying to provoke me?" "I'm not trying to provoke you," I replied calmly. "Just read through it. We'll talk after that." Lucas took the papers with his left hand but didn't even open them. He just set them on the nightstand. "There's nothing to talk about. I'm not signing." "All right," I said, retrieving the papers. "Then I'll see you in court." As I turned to leave, he suddenly raised his voice, clearly surprised by how fast things escalated. "Wait. Come back." He looked frustrated but held it in. His recent surgery reminded him not to act out. I turned and met his gaze. "What else do you want to say?" Lucas stared straight at me and asked directly, "Why are you suddenly so determined to get a divorce? Didn't I already answer that? I can't take it anymore, not even one more day." His jaw clenched, and his cheek muscles twitched. "Sometimes I really wonder, did you ever even like me?" I froze, momentarily thinking I'd misheard him. "When did I ever give you the illusion that I liked you?" He blurted out, "That photo." "What photo?" I couldn't help but laugh. "Seriously? I already explained that to you, and you still think the guy in the picture is you? You might have a bad memory, but surely not that bad. When did we ever take such an intimate photo?" He went stiff. "Or are you implying I was so obsessed with you that I photoshopped us together? The guy in that photo wasn't you. I've already explained that. I was in love with someone else. It was never you, not from the beginning." Lucas's face darkened. He sneered. "Never me. Then who? Go ahead, make someone up." "Make someone up?" I smirked. "You actually know him. Remember Anthony? He was in your high school class. We dated for 2 years in college." Lucas sat bolt upright. "Anthony? Are you joking? That guy who went to prison? The guy in the photo was him. I chased him for half a year. We started dating in the second semester of freshman year." Lucas looked like he'd heard the most ridiculous thing in the world. "If you're going to make something up, at least make it believable." "And what's believable to you? Someone like you? He's better looking than you, has a better personality, and don't even get me started on academics. He's won more awards than you've ever imagined." Lucas's face turned green with anger. He scoffed. "So what? With a background like his, you think your mom would approve?" Then he paused, realizing something. I pulled a tight smile. "Exactly. My mom was the first to find out. She didn't approve. That's why we kept it a secret the whole time. Anthony came from a rough family, an alcoholic, abusive father and a very traditional stay-at-home mom. Even though he was a model student with stellar morals, my mom never gave him a chance. When she found out he was my boyfriend, she refused to even meet him and said just one thing. No. I'll find someone better for you. So when the photo surfaced, even though she knew Lucas wasn't the guy in the picture, she used the situation to push me toward him. I resisted and went against her, which only made her even more against Anthony. I tried to take a roundabout path to change her mind, but everything fell apart faster than I expected. While I was hospitalized after the collapse, Anthony ended up accidentally killing his father while trying to protect his mother from abuse. I begged my mom to help him get a good lawyer. He had worked so hard all those years, just to one day take his mother and escape that painful environment. But when freedom was just within reach, it all crumbled. My mom said, "Fine. But you have to listen to me." So I did. I married Lucas and obediently followed the life she planned for me. Lucas pieced things together from what I said. He'd always thought I secretly loved him, thought the photo was proof, thought I just went along with things and eventually fell for him, thought the person I said I liked was just made up. His mother had suffered her whole life because of a manipulative woman. That's why Lucas hated scheming, calculating types. When he noticed I liked him in the beginning, he deliberately kept our relationship as just friends. Romantic relationships end, friendships are more stable. He avoided my affection by dating someone else to draw the line. I understood that. That tiny, budding feeling I once had died before I could even tell if it was real. Lucas tried to laugh, but his face was stiff like a puppet. He glared at me. "You agreed to marry me. You didn't complain about not having a wedding. Even when I treated you poorly, you didn't lash out. I brought other women around, and you never confronted me. I kept wondering, how far can your tolerance go? The more time passed, the more I couldn't figure you out. Why did you marry me?" His voice turned increasingly sarcastic. His face was pale with rage, fists clenched. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. "So what now? He's getting out, and you can't wait to divorce me? Why should I make it easy for you?" I looked at him calmly. "I don't need your permission. If you won't sign, I'll see you in court." After all these years, I had more than enough evidence of his cheating. I wouldn't necessarily lose. Lucas curled his lip. "Even if you divorce me, what can a guy just out of prison give you? What, die with you? I saw your cancer report." At that moment, the door swung open with a bang. Gray stood in the doorway. "Whose cancer report?" 11. I was hospitalized again. Lily's voice echoed in my head. "Cancer can be treated. It's not a death sentence. Throw away those trashy novels and melodramatic TV shows. When you're sick, you fight to get better. You don't give up on life, hoping your death punishes the people who hurt you. What did Mom do when you got hit by that car? What about Gray and Lucas? They didn't treat you well when you were alive. If you died, they'd probably just clap and cheer. Even your pet fish would end up in a stew." Then her tone softened. "Rita, every time you lower yourself for someone who hurts you, you're just giving them more room to trample over you. The people who truly cherish you are the ones afraid of losing you. The ones who don't even give you basic respect. They never truly loved you, and they won't suddenly come to their senses. Abusers don't reflect, they only regret when their lives are on the line. If you never fight back, you'll always be at the bottom. And when you start thinking you're full of flaws, try using a magnifying glass on others. Nobody is perfect." After checking in again, I had to redo all the tests. When death suddenly looms over you, survival instinct and fear hit all at once. I was diagnosed with stomach cancer. When the results first came out, it felt like death had dropped its flag straight through my skull. My first thought was, how could it be this? I'm still so young. Instinctively, I reached out to the person I trusted most. Years of guilt and emotional imprisonment had turned me into someone timid and fragile. My windows had always been open, but sunlight never found its way in. I'd never had forgiveness, love, or support. Faced with this heavy blow, I didn't know how to move forward, so I retreated. But then Lily came back, and everything changed. She told me. Don't be scared. Worst case, you'll just come hang with your sister again. While receiving treatment, I also started the divorce process. Lily made me follow every step, saying it was the only way. Other than Mom, she's the one I listened to most. Everything Lily said felt right. She knew I had someone I liked. She warned me early on that Mom might not approve, so I'd kept the relationship hidden, but it still got exposed. Everyone said Lucas liked Lily, but Lily was confident when she told me. That guy likes you. Every time you two are in the same room, his eyes look for you first. Whenever something funny happens, his first instinct is to look at you. But he's a coward and an idiot. Even if he knows it, he'd never admit it. So before you two fake date, make sure he understands what's what. I did try to make it clear, but he ended up assuming the guy I liked was him. Since Lucas was the one who cheated, Lily made sure the divorce terms included a large financial settlement. She was blunt and unrelenting. What, you want pity instead of money? Or his cheap guilt and that dirty body of his? A jerk like him deserves to be ruined, cut him off and let him rot in misery forever. The lawyer revised the agreement and sent it to Lucas after I approved it. Lily said, if he refuses and doesn't want to divorce, that's fine. We'll drag it out. If your treatment fails, just take him with you when you go, see if he values money or life more. He can only pick one. She was terrifyingly firm in her resolve. Under her influence, my mindset began to shift for the better. This time, I chose a better hospital. All my latest test results came back, and surgery was scheduled for 2 days later. The plan was to operate first, then start chemo. Gray was the one who signed the surgical consent forms. He seemed even more shaken by the diagnosis than I was. He stared at the diagnosis for so long, I wondered if he'd forgotten how to read. When he finally placed his hand on the paper, I noticed his fingers trembling. His gaze dropped to the floor, lost in thought, before he asked in a low voice. You knew this early on. Why didn't you tell me? I did, I replied. Mom said if hospitals couldn't fix it, she couldn't help either. And isn't this what you wanted? He crumpled the report in his hand and looked at me. So what was your plan? What else could I do? I gave a small smile. I already bought a plot. Once I'm gone, it'll just be you left. Peaceful, right? No one left to piss you off. Gray was furious again. He hired 3 private nurses for my room. Lily said, if it's free, take it. No need to suffer out of spite. While I was in the hospital, Gray didn't come by every day, but I ate my meals and took my meds on time. It wasn't as scary or painful as I imagined. The day before surgery, I chatted with one of the nurses. She said I had a great brother. Every night after I fell asleep, Gray would come by to check on me. He spoke with the doctors daily and even arranged for a private chef to prepare and deliver every meal. Gray never mentioned any of this. I don't know if the nurse figured it out herself, or if Gray was just too awkward to tell me and let her pass the message along. Strange, overnight, Gray suddenly figured out how to be a real brother. We're only 2 years apart. As kids, we fought over everything. As adults, we bickered over every little thing. We had an unspoken agreement. He didn't need to hold back from me, and I never treated him like an older brother. If all this had happened when I first got diagnosed, I probably would have cried from being touched. But when the things you once desperately wanted finally show up, only at the wrong time, you realize you don't need them anymore. 12. After the surgery, I started my first round of chemotherapy. Aside from a weaker stomach and noticeable weight loss, I hadn't experienced any serious side effects yet. During my hospital stay, Lucas never came to visit. Maybe Gray kept him away, or maybe Lucas just didn't want to come. I waited the whole time for news that he'd finally agreed to the divorce. After I was discharged, I didn't go back to the E family home, nor did I follow Gray's suggestion to move in with him. When our parents divorced, out of the 3 of us, I was the only one given to our father. The only thing he ever left me was an apartment, not in a great location, which is why I'd never stayed there before. But now, it had become my safe haven. Before leaving the hospital, I let go of the caregivers Gray had hired for me. I also turned down his offer to find someone else to help. After getting rejected by me again and again, Gray finally lost his patience. He frowned, fingers tapping rhythmically on the table, his whole posture brimming with irritation. "You're turning everything down, look at your condition. Can you stop being so stubborn?" "It's not about being stubborn," I replied. "Thank you for everything recently, but I can handle it on my own now." His chest rose and fell with a deep breath. He tried to stay calm. "And how exactly do you plan to handle it? You're a patient right now. Listening to my arrangements is the most reasonable thing you could do." Those words, they sounded so familiar. I said, "You sound just like Mom." Gray froze. His domineering tone dropped, and for once he looked genuinely uneasy. "I just want to help take care of you." I shook my head. "The best way to help is to respect my choices. When I once gave up on life, I gave up on more than just surviving, I let go of the people around me too." Apparently, the brief peace during my hospital stay made Gray believe that everything I'd done before, every conflict, every outburst, was just me acting out because I was sick. But what people struggle with most is getting past their own guilt. "I'm not a child anymore," I said. "You can't just slap me one moment and hand me candy the next, expecting everything to be fine again." What I said to Mom, and what I'm saying to you now, I meant every word. Thanks for what you've done lately. From here on, let's each live our own lives. There's no need for anything extra. I can take care of myself. It was the first time I stood tall and spoke to him like that. I was devastated when Lily died. But I never once thought of myself as someone who caused it. I was the one who suggested we go camping. I picked the rental house. It was supposed to be a fun getaway with friends. Lily didn't even want to go at first, I was the one who convinced her. She'd been in a bad place emotionally, and I just wanted to help her relax. But the day we arrived, I got food poisoning and heatstroke, spent the whole night vomiting with a fever. They went ahead with the next day's plan, camping on the mountain to watch the sunrise. I stayed behind in bed, dazed with a burning fever, when I got a call from Lily. She heard something off in my voice and immediately turned back. I thought I'd dreamt her coming back to check on me. Lily had told me over and over again. "You were never to blame. You don't need forgiveness from anyone. Rita, it was an accident. It was not your fault," she said. After the collapse happened, I thought, if I'd been outside the ruins, it would have been even worse. I'd have left my sick little sister alone in that house, buried under the rubble. The guilt would have crushed me just the same. Even if they'd gotten to me in time, it's not like I would have necessarily survived. "So, Rita, it was never your fault." The falling beams crushed Lily's spine. "And because of rescue delays, they missed the best window for treatment after she was found." "I never blamed you," she said. "You've always been my precious little sister." 13. I wrote Lily a letter and burned it for her on her Memorial Day. "Dear sister, this is my 5th year in remission. It's also the 5th year of my new life. I've been living well, taking care of myself, getting regular checkups. I'm now settled in a southern city, close to the sea, where I can watch the most beautiful sunsets every day. Summer is coming, and the fruit stalls are bursting with variety, each one sweeter than the last. I love it here. I even bought a home. I have a little cat now. And someone who truly loves me. These days, I feel happy, really, genuinely happy. Except for the fact that Gray still contacts me from time to time, sends me things, even though I've made it clear I want distance. Even though I rarely respond, he no longer lashes out like he would have in the past. His temper's improved a lot. He even sends me red envelopes during the holidays and on my birthday, wishing me health and a long life every year. Last year, Mom got sick. Gray called me a few times, said it was a heart problem, and that her condition wasn't good. He hoped I could go back to see her. But I didn't go. I didn't even ask how she was. Gray told me that when I was battling cancer, she didn't just abandon me, she actually came to the hospital and asked several doctors about my condition. She just didn't know how to face me. He also said she's done a lot of soul-searching over the years and regrets how she treated me. She really hopes I'll come back and spend some time with her. I thought once I got through the illness and left them all behind, I'd be able to let go of the unfairness, the favoritism, let go of the things she said to me, her blame and her bias. But even now, I still wake up crying from dreams in the middle of the night. Dreams where we're arguing, where I'm worthless, unlovable. When I wake up, my little cat is licking my tears. I'm a mom now, in a way. A cat mom. It was only through caring for her that I finally understood, love doesn't need conditions. You just want them to be okay. I did go back once. Lucas's mom had a minor health scare and was hospitalized for a bit. I visited her and stayed for 3 days. Mom's ward was just upstairs. But I didn't take a single step in that direction. Gray said she was really upset when she found out. Honestly, when I was in the hospital before, I had wished she would come visit me. Just once. But she never did. If it had been my cousin in that hospital bed, Mom probably would have dropped everything to help. Now, she finally knows what that kind of hurt feels like. I know this sounds cruel, but when Gray told me she waited in the hospital every day, hoping I'd show up, even for just a glance, I felt a twisted sense of satisfaction, like payback. She called me a few times. I didn't answer the first couple times. When I finally picked up, there wasn't really anything to say. She apologized. Apologized for saying that no hospital could help me, and that looking for her was useless. She said now that she's sick, she finally understands how painful and exhausting it is, physically and mentally, to be a patient. But I felt nothing. I didn't even know what to say back. This year, her condition got worse. Last week, Gray called me drunk and crying. He said if Mom dies too, I'll be the only family he has left in this world. He said he often feels like he's suffocating when he's alone at home. In his dreams, it's like we're all still together, noisy and chaotic, but warm. He's better off than I was. Back then, I felt suffocated too, but I had nothing. I told him, it's okay. At least you still have money. And Lucas, he's like a deranged wild boar. To this day, I still don't understand why I agreed to my mother's deal and married him like some kind of transaction. I still remember how, after my surgery, he kept dragging his feet and wouldn't agree to the divorce. He'd rather drag things out than let go. I never knew why. Maybe he just couldn't handle the blow to his ego. Maybe that car accident rattled something in his brain. After 5 years of marriage and countless flings, he suddenly realized I was his true love. I blocked him. Mostly because I was afraid I'd laugh too loudly and he'd hear me through the wires. That tug-of-war with Lucas lasted a while. At first, he couldn't believe I had someone new. Then he tried to convince himself that as long as we were still legally married, there was a chance to make things right. I was disgusted. He wasn't good enough for me, never was. He finally gave up late last year. Got a new girlfriend who looks a lot like me. It grossed me out so much I lost my appetite. At his core, Lucas only ever loved himself. His favorite person was always himself. Everything he did was to please himself. And now, after so many casual encounters, he's been diagnosed with something serious. For the first time, I feel like life is finally opening up in front of me. Like I really, truly get to start over. Sister, I miss you so much. Sometimes I wonder if those moments when you appeared in my mind were just dreams. I wrote you this letter to tell you, I've done what you asked of me back then. I'm living well. If the environment is bad, I change it. If the people around me aren't good, I walk away. Other people's opinions are not the measure of my worth. In any close relationship, never place yourself beneath someone else. Reject all harm and control done in the name of love. Never give up on yourself just to hurt someone else. Never see death as a weapon for revenge. You and I, we are both amazing. We deserve every beautiful tomorrow. If you think I've done well, give me a hug in my dream tonight. Extra chapter. I'm Lily, the tragic, white moonlight, who died young in a story written for someone else. And my unlucky little sister. She's the heroine of this novel. From the moment she was born, she wasn't loved by either parent. My mother, bitter from a failed marriage, hated her scumbag ex-husband. When they divorced, my dad didn't even want custody of a single child. Just to spite him, my mom forced the youngest daughter into his hands. But he was too busy chasing his new life to care for a child. At one point, he even started posting family-like photos with his new girlfriend and Rita just to provoke my mom. Eventually, Rita was left with our grandparents. When I visited, she always cried miserably as we said goodbye. She'd call me and ask in the softest, most pitiful voice, "When can I come home?" My heart ached for my little sister. No one loved her. No one protected her. If only I had been a few years older, I could have taken care of her myself. Rita didn't come back to live with us until she was 8, just in time to start school. The older she grew, the more she resembled our father. I could tell Mom wasn't fond of her face, and Rita sensed it too. So she went out of her way to please her, to win her approval. Then there was Gray, the spoiled little tyrant of the house. Before Rita came back, he ruled alone. But once she returned, the tension between two kids so close in age was inevitable. Whenever there was a fight, it usually ended with both kids brought before Mom. And Mom always sided with Gray. I, on the other hand, only ever felt sorry for Rita. Rita grew up with a people-pleasing personality. The moment someone showed her the slightest kindness, she'd want to repay it 100-fold. If something went wrong, her first instinct was always to blame herself. I tried hard to build up her confidence, to give her a sense of safety. But all of that fell apart the moment I died. It wasn't until after my death that I discovered the truth: we were all characters in a fictional story. And I saw how the original plot ended. After I died, Rita became everyone's emotional punching bag, husband, family, all under the guise of love. They hurt her, mistreated her, slowly broke her down. 5 years later, Rita was diagnosed with cancer. She gave up. She let go of life, hoping for peace. And only after she died did everyone suddenly feel regret. I found it laughable. Once I broke free from the constraints of the original plot, I finally saw just how twisted it all was. A mother who never truly liked her youngest daughter, always turning a blind eye to her pain. She conditioned Rita to work for her approval, positioning herself on a pedestal to enjoy the devotion while ignoring the suffering. Then there's Lucas, emotionally stunted. He liked Rita but didn't even realize it. Afraid of things getting complicated, he went and found a girlfriend to try and keep their friendship in a safe zone. Because safe meant not losing her. Once he saw that photo, he began to suspect Rita might still have feelings for him, just too afraid to say so. And so he kept his distance, making excuses. When men get self-absorbed, their confidence hits God level. But love is visible. Even Lucas, blind as he was, started to realize something was off. No matter what he did to provoke Rita, she barely reacted. Whether it was fake flirting or genuine playboy behavior, she never even cared enough to dig. When you truly love someone, you feel anxious about losing them, you don't test them over and over to chase some ego boost. Gray was the one most like Mom. He got more of everything: love, money, attention. So even though they grew up under the same roof, he could never empathize with Rita. Among the three of us, she was always the awkward one. Always going against the grain. Always getting scolded by Mom, then crying quietly in my arms. This sensitive, overthinking little sister of mine was like a child who never got the chance to grow up. Gray had the best of everything, yet looked down on her just like Mom did, always from above, never as an equal. And these few people, Mom, Gray, Lucas, became the entire center of Rita's world. They built a cage around her, gaslighting her, controlling her spirit. A toxic system of manipulation that forced her into submission, crushed her little by little, until she had nothing left and chose to die. You're better off dead than living like this. You've been hurt too badly. Death is mercy. And after her death, they suddenly woke up. Started mourning her with delayed affection and empty tears. But Rita's punishment was a cold, lonely grave. And their punishment? They still had their riches, their pleasures, their lovers, their dreams. It's only in those quiet nights, when everything is perfect, that guilt would hit. That they'd remember the girl turned to ash. And cry themselves to sleep. After reading the entire story, fury burned through me like wildfire. In my mind, one thought screamed louder than the rest. This little sister I cherished, was born just to be used as a tragic device for some sad ending. If it were me, if I could, I'd make them all pay. All of them deserve to die. Watching her get pushed around like that, I was furious. I wanted to scream at her. If I'd known you'd end up such a pushover, I'd have preferred you just died at the start. At least then she wouldn't have had to live through a story that existed just to hurt her, to trap her in a role and break her piece by piece. And then, as I was still fuming in my rage, a car crash hit out of nowhere. And something changed. I heard Rita's voice, soft and cautious. "Sister." In that moment, I realized I'd been given a chance. A chance to rewrite her fate.